make sure, just to make your life a little bit easier, leave these numbers in here. So this angle 63, initial speed 6.85, initial Y position, time increments. Leave those as they are, because if you do, then you can go back to my website and you can open this up and you can check your answers as you go and see if everything is working out like it should work out. So I should be getting these answers down here. And as I do this, sometimes I realize, oh, I've got the wrong thing. I made some dumb mistake, but you'll have plenty of time to fix it. You get pretty much today and tomorrow to work on these spreadsheets. If you need extra time outside of class, then you can do that. I'm going to close this so I don't mess it up anymore. All right, first thing. And the first one's maybe one of the most annoying. I need the initial x velocity and y velocity. So for the x velocity, if I've got this angle, what do I use? Sine or cosine? And cosine. So I could show you y and draw it all out, but this is going to be my formula.
It's X, not Y.
What?
It's X, not Y. Don't show us Y.
Haha. Cosine. And you might think I would just type cos and then click on this number, the angle, but spreadsheets by default work in radians, which I don't know. I don't think there's a way to switch it. So what I have to do is I have to put in a function inside a function, and this function is radians. So there. So this radians B2, it takes whatever is in cell B2 and it turns it into radians. And then when I do the cosine of it, it's going to be right, because it's going to give me the cosine of an angle in radians. So all I've done is the cosine of 63 degrees, but in order to get the initial x velocity, I need to multiply. What's the symbol for multiply in a spreadsheet? Asterisk. Yeah, so the asterisk there, and you have to have an operator. So if you just have parentheses next to other parentheses, and in math, people would know you're multiplying, but here you've got to have some operators. So that's times the initial speed, and I get 3.109. Let me check and see if that's what I got here. Yeah, 3.109. So I'm doing a good job closing this one down. And then y is going to be the same thing, except it's going to be sine of 63, but I can't just do 63. I have to turn. That's really annoying how that keeps popping up. Seems like it doesn't do that much. Radians. And then I can just click on this cell. You don't have to type B2. And so there's my sine of 63 times the initial speed. And checking my answer, 6.1. That's good, 6.1. So now I need to get x and y position over time. I've got time increments here, and the time increments, there's a reason for it. I could go into why it is later, but the time's going to start at 0, and then my next time is going to be equals the time increment plus 0. And I've got a problem with my equation. I did that on purpose. It's gonna look fine now, but when I copy this down, it's not going to work. It's not going to go 0.15, 0.3, 0.45 like it's supposed to. Does anybody know what I did wrong?
You didn't put the dollar sign.
I didn't put the dollar sign. So what it's doing in this one, if you look at my formula, it's doing B7 plus A10. So B7 is this. That's the time increment plus the cell above. When I drag that down one, instead of B7, it's now going to go calling from B8. So it's going to add this to 0.15, which is why it's 0.15. And then it's going to add this, which is nonsense. So to make this formula right, this B7, anything that I'm referring to the same every time, I need to put a dollar sign in front of it. So when I copy that, it should all be good. And I'm going to go, I can't remember how far out I did this. 1.5. 1.5? Okay. And you could go farther or not as far as you want, but if you just try to make your spreadsheet look like mine, it's good. Things will be easier for you. All right. Exposition. There's an initial y position given. I used to have initial x, and I thought, why would we do anything except 0 for x position? If we're going to be shooting from here to there, why do we ever call the x position anything but 0? So x is just going to be 0 in the beginning. So now I need a formula for the x position after this many seconds. So what's the formula for a distance in the x dimension? I've only got 3 variables in the x dimension. Rate times time. And the rate is always going to be this. The initial x velocity. And since it's always going to be that, I want to put a $sign in front of the 4. So that's the rate times this, 0.15. I just click on it. And I don't want a $sign there because when I copy that down, I want a new position when it's gone for this amount of time, and this amount of time, and this amount of time. And it's suggesting autofill, and I think that's a good suggestion. So let me check and see if I've got good numbers now. 4.66475, that's matching up to this. So when I get down to the bottom, just showing you what the last formula looks like, I click on this. It's B4 times A20. B4 is still that initial x velocity, and A20 is this amount of time. So that's all good. Y position is a little trickier. I'm not going to start out with 0. I'm going to do equals, and then I'm going to click on this. This allows you to set, let's say you're shooting from a table that's a ½ meter high. This allows you to put that into your model. So I'm going to click that. And since that's up here, and I always, anyway, I'm going to put that there. And I'm going to have to make a choice about what to do next. I'm not going to autofill. Okay, so that's the starting y position. Now I need the new y position. So I'm just going to do the starting y position right here plus however far it's moved. And I always want to add this on. I could actually, instead of 0.25, I could go up here and I could click this one. It doesn't really matter. In fact, let me just do B6 instead. I'm going to do $6 because wherever I start from, I'm going to add that to all my displacements. So the displacement formula in the y dimension, since we've got acceleration, is V0t plus 1/2 at squared. So I'm going to take this initial position, I'm going to add on to it the displacement, which is V0 y, and that V0 is never going to change, so I need a $sign. And that needs to be multiplied by the time, which doesn't need a $sign, because as I copy this, the time's going to increase and the position's going to increase. So there's V0t plus 0.5 times 9.8 times the time squared. And I think this should be right.
Shouldn't it be minus?
Yes, thank you. Yeah. So this, let me just do this and show you what happens. And let's see what the, so Noah caught me. This goes up and it starts to come down after 0.75 seconds, but mine's not coming down because I didn't put any negative acceleration in there. So this should actually be negative. And you can do times negative, and it works. If you're not comfortable with times negative, and you want to,
Yeah, there is.
it's 1/2 times negative 9.8.
Yeah, but before
times.
that you could just do, you have the plus sign.
Yeah, I could just make that minus and they could all be multiple. So there are lots of ways to do it, but this way works. Even though minus plus looks kind of weird, it should work. All right, so let me check and see if that's all good now. Yep, so I get to negative 1.61. All right. On this, I've got this graph. I could start making the graph. The graph is maybe the hardest part of this. So first, if you do these Google Sheet graphs in the wrong order, you can just get very confused. I'm highlighting all this and insert. You can also click the little symbol chart, and it's probably going to choose a scatter plot for me. If it doesn't choose a scatter plot, I'm going to change it so it has chosen a scatter chart, it calls it. Maybe I'll make that a little bit smaller. And that looks pretty good. It's Y position versus X position. That's fine. One thing that I don't really like about it is that we're going to have a floor. So we never really need to have any negative Y values. I'm going to see if I can just double click on this scale, and it takes me right to the vertical axis. And I'm going to put in a minimum value of 0. So that's better. Now, the dots are suboptimal. I want you to have a trend line for this. And so if what's that?
Can you double click the dots to get there? And then
I don't know. You may be able to, but I think I'm already, let's see. Where I want to go is series. Let me see if I double click the dots. Ah, takes me into series, but it takes me right to the dots. So in series, the Y position here, I want to do trend line. That's not a very good one. It's not linear. And for this, it seems like a second degree polynomial works pretty well. The dots themselves, I think, get in the way. So I'm going to get rid of those. And to get rid of those, you have to go to legend, I believe. Is it legend? Maybe wrong about that. No.
I think it's probably still in series.
Yeah, it was series. It was series. Thank you. And point size is none. So there we go. So I've got that. So this is pretty good. But now the bells and whistles. And the bells and whistles are target, obstacle, ceiling, things like that.
I feel like it makes no sense to have dots for the ceiling though, when you can just also set a maximum.
You could. Yeah, if you would like to do that. I like the dots for my ceiling.
Oh.
Something about, yeah, that's a good point. You could just, so if you don't want dots for your ceiling, there's some requirement in here that says you have to. If you set your maximum for the ceiling height, it's fine. I'm going to put a ceiling in here. It's pretty easy. So in my example here, the target was 4 feet away on the floor. So here's how I will do that. Target, and I've got Y position. The Y position is 0. And the X position of the target is 4. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. And I think I'll just add that now. So I could do all these things one after another, but I'll go back to these little 3 dots, edit chart, and I'm going to add a series. And the series, I'll click this. This table thing allows me to select. Select data range. It's going to be this. And didn't quite fix it because, I guess it did fix it. It automatically adjusted. Look at this. If I click on the x-axis and I go to select, it automatically changed to B21. Doesn't always do that. Sometimes you have to increase that. So I'll put in the same kind of target that I have on the example. I've got this target that's 1.5 meters out, and it's between 0.75 and 1.75 high. So that's my first, I think I might have said target, I meant obstacle. So the obstacle is going to be, the X position is 1.5 and 1.5. And I just want to make a dot that's 0.75 from the floor and 1.75. And then I have to go through that same process. Edit chart, add a series, select it this way, move this out of the way, drag from the word obstacle all the way down. Let's see if it...
How would it work if the obstacle was diagonal?
Ah, well, you could do that. It would just be, oh, yeah, it could be.
I feel like it'd be
I've never given a diagonal obstacle before, but I could do that.
It'd be weird to deal with because you have to figure out it can't go up too soon because it'll hit the.
Yeah, but it's pretty. Given this is it's pretty easy to check. So Um, if let's say I change this angle a little bit, 50 degrees, you can see now I'm hitting this obstacle. If let's say I wanted to, I'm not going to add all the obstacles because it's the same process, but let's say I wanted to shoot underneath this. I can change the angle down to 20. And then I just need to shoot a little bit faster. Let me try 7 meters per second. 7.5. A little less, 7.1. 7.2. It's guess and check, but it's not just guess and check because you already had to do the math to set the whole thing up. So there's more to do in sheet number 2. But I'll give you more time and a different day to work on that. If you could just get this done, that would be great. Let me show you something else. Once you get it done, there are 3 practice problems on the back of the sheet. The obstacles are defined, and what you have to do is come up with an angle and an initial velocity that will hit the projectile or hit the target given the obstacles on this. So once you get this up and running, see if you can solve this and use this graph down here. So find a partner. If we can't get all groups of 2 because we have an abnormal, an odd number of people, we can have one group of 3. If you're having trouble finding a partner, I'll play matchmaker. I'll find somebody for you. You can work on a desktop if you want. Sign in as guest. The sign-in's back there. You can work on one together, or you can work on it separately, or however you want to do it. You only have to have one per group, one per pair.
So we don't need a matchmaker.
You don't. You could work together on it. You get tomorrow to work on. Yeah. So go to my website, and the link is there. The template link is there.
Thank you.
It was, and then I removed it